Hey travelers, we meet again. You know there is a certain character in the game that shows up every year and leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions, who by the way, has an inexplicably obscene amount of simps. Can you guess who he is? Exactly. Dainsleaf, but this video is not about our Gigachadlaw. On this occasion we will focus on this little Japanese gremlin, Scaramouche, the 6th of the 11 Fatu Harbingers, also known as the Balladeer. Our Genshin Bibble made his first appearance in version 1.1, leaving us with many doubts and hundreds of theories, to later return during the Inazuma Archon quest in 2.1. If you are not aware of the origin of this character and his role in the story, it will be better that you leave now to avoid spoilers. Otherwise don't even dare to blame me for that. Anyways, as many of us know, this little demon has been present in many important events of the main story, and in his last appearance he did the unthinkable by get away with the Electronosis and betraying the Fatui. Recent events have brought several mentions indicating that currently the Fatui are desperately trying to locate him. We even came across Tartaglia, who was specially sent to look for him and the Gnosis. So far his whereabouts and objectives are unknown, but we are not here to talk about that. In a few weeks version 3.0 will arrive along with a new region and its respective Archon quest, this being the Sumeru chapter, and once again we will have to solve the problems of this nation and try to prevent the Fatu from stealing another Gnosis to obtain no information about our sibling. But anyway, this new region will also bring a new weekly boss, and so far everything seems to indicate that Scaramouche will take this position. Just like his comrades Childy and Signora. And unlike Signora, the Balladeer has many possibilities to be a playable character like Tartaglia in version 1.1. And now we come to the subject of this video. Wow, that was a very long intro, isn't? As I said before, let's call him the first son of the almighty Shogun Kunikuzushi.
Is Kunikuzushi.
Yeah, that. This first attempt of the now puppet Shogun Raiden will most likely become a playable character in the game, after we defeat him of course. And that brings us to the subject of this video. What element will Scaramouche use in the game? You might think that it's obvious, if he is the first prototype for the Archon Electro puppet, who was also made to use the Gnosis, it would be safe to assume that he would be an Electro character. However, new information suggests that for reasons still unknown, he is no longer able to use this element, and in order to be released as a playable character, he needs an element. Various sources report that once he is released as a playable character, he will use an Anemo vision. Although so far he hasn't been seen using one of these in any of his appearances, we could assume he will receive one at some point during the arc of Sumeru. Or he could reactivate a masterless vision like Ningguang and Kazuha did, but that's not what we are trying to figure out. As we all know, the 11 Harbingers have a delusion granted by the Cryo Archon. This allows them to use elemental powers without needing to use a vision. Now the question here is, what element will Scaramouche's delusion be? Well, as you can see, I have a theory to solve this question. Let me explain. As we know, Shield has a Hydro Vision and an Electro Delusion, and Rosalina's the Crimson Witch has control over the Pyro element, but she also has a special Cryo Delusion. Now, what does this mean? Well, what would you think if I told you that these elements repel each other? How do I know this? I'm glad you asked. Let me show you. If we check the effects of the elemental resonances, apart from these buffs such as increased speed or attack, we also find these effects that decrease the time that our characters remain affected by an element. For example, with the Pyro Resonance, the time of the effects of the Cryo element is decreased, and Cryo Resonance decreases the time of Electro effects, which means that these elements have a certain superiority over the other. You still don't understand? Let me show you another example. Many Fatui enemies have these elemental shields, and to break them, you need to use another element that reacts with it. However, each of these shields can be broken easier if you use an element superior to that. For example, this big guy with a Electro shield is a pain in the ass, but if you use a Cryo character, their shield will be gone in the blink of an eye. Same goes for these other dudes. If you hit them with the right element, their shield will break much easier. See what I say? Now, how can we use that to predict what element Kunikuzushi delusion will be? With the information I mentioned before, We know that electro element can counteract the effects of hydro, and well, coincidentally Child D vision it's hydro and his delusion is electro, which means that according to the pattern we have seen now, if the user of a delusion already has elemental powers, as in the case of Child D, their delusion would be the element that counteracts the element they already possesses. However, here comes the complicated one. Signora doesn't follow this rule. She is the Crimson Witch, has pyro abilities, but her delusion is cryo, and according to the information in the elemental resonances, cryo is inferior to pyro. However, seeing it another way, at the beginning of the battle against Signora, she uses the power of cryo, that is the element that she usually uses, and after the battle continues, she releases his true powers as a pyro elemental being, which in a way makes the theory come true. Well, not at all, but we are almost there. Scaramouche, like Signora, is a special case. He doesn't have a vision, or at least for now, since as the copy of an Archon he doesn't need it. He naturally has electro abilities. This could mean that in his first phase as boss he would be using this element. Now using our theory we have two options on which could be the element of his delusion. First we have a cryo delusion. This element is superior to electro, so it could be a good alternative. And on the other hand we have hydro, which is inferior to electro. Clearly there are other possible alternatives. Who knows, maybe Scaramouche will have a dendro delusion at the end, or even a special device like Signora. We will have to wait a few weeks to find out, but assuming that the balladeer follows the pattern we have been observing, the options are reduced to those already mentioned earlier. Now getting a little off topic, and as a little comment from me, the fact that Scaramouche uses an anemo vision, I feel that suits perfectly the character. Think about it, he has all the qualities to be an anemo character. A shorty cutie, he lost a friend or loved one, an edgy teenager, many simps, qualities that all anemo characters possess, except Jean. She is just built different, but also from the lore aspect it makes sense. He seems to be clinging to the idea of being a god as he is supposed to be. That's what he was created for. Who knows, perhaps once we confront him, he gives up on that idea and decides to find a new ambition, freeing himself from that burden he has been carrying for so many years. Who knows, maybe we can even see an interaction with his creator and have a lovely moment between mother and son, creator and puppet. I don't know. I'm just very excited to see what kind of relationship he and Raiden will have, and let's not forget about Miko. How would be an interaction between these characters? Just imagining it made me excited. Well, with that in mind I ended this video. That never made sense in first place. I didn't meant to make it so long, but that's how it happened at the end. Anyways, thanks for making it till the end. I would like to know your opinion. Not only about my theory of delusions, but also about the future of Scaramouche in the game. I'll wait for your opinions in the comments. See you soon.